Darla Banner and John Banner are a newlywed couple getting ready to celebrate the Easter holiday together on a 14-day Caribbean cruise. Married less than a year, the retired couple share a love of travel, particularly cruise vacations. Darla, having been widowed 3 years earlier, is especially enjoying the time she gets to spend with her new husband as they embark on their second cruise in just 6 months. The couple seems to be getting along well with other passengers, and their romantic lives appear to be accelerating. But unfortunately for our couple, not all cruises are smooth sailing. As John's excitement dwindles, will his jealousy take the wind out of their sails? When crew members discover a brutal murder scene, can the ship's captain and the authorities work together to solve this horrific crime? Just like the ocean, life can be dark, mysterious, and change in an instant. It's spring 2015 in Salem, Ohio. Just 3 years earlier, Darla finds herself widowed. So when she meets John Banner, she feels like she has a new lease on life.
Losing your spouse is very traumatic. It takes a long time to get over it, and it takes a while to trust people again. It takes time to want to date again. So when you get another chance at love, it's super exciting. It's so nice to be able to feel those wonderful feelings of romance and love and friendship again.
Despite having only dated for a few short months, they quickly fall in love and develop a strong bond while exploring new places. The couple loves to travel, so it's only natural that John would propose while they're vacationing in Cozumel, Mexico in 2014.
By all accounts, John and Darla were a happy couple. And most people, if they can afford it, want to spend their hard-earned retirement by traveling and enjoying their lives.
John and Darla are married on October 2nd, 2014 in Salem, Ohio, at the Historical Society's Heritage Garden. Being both newlyweds and recent retirees, it makes their love and ability of cruise ship travel all the more convenient and sweet. Getting to see the world with the one you love is one of life's greatest joys.
When you're first falling in love, there's a chemical reaction in your brain that makes you feel like two teenagers again. John and Darla are probably feeling this as well as they get to know each other for the first time and experience the feelings of new love all over again.
John and Darla Banner were an ordinary couple. This was their second cruise in about a year or so, and by all accounts, they were enjoying their time together.
After their honeymoon, the happy couple decide to go out on another cruise to celebrate Easter in 2015.
Since John and Darla are both retired, they have a lot more time and freedom. They have time to spend with each other. The pressures of child rearing are over. So they have a lot more time to just enjoy each other's company, go on vacations, and travel.
The Banners are excited to leave Tampa, Florida, aboard a cruise ship filled with luxurious diversions and fun-filled activities on March 29th, en route to exotic Puerto Rico. The happy couple are eager to enjoy both an exciting and relaxing time on this, their second cruise in only 6 months. They both enjoy meeting new people and sharing in the variety of food, music, and culture. John and Darla take in the many amenities the ship has to offer and soak in the luxury of it all.
John and Darla have different priorities on this cruise than maybe some other people do. They more just want to meet new people, enjoy each other's company, enjoy the excursions, the lovely food, just really kick back and relax.
Although John and Darla haven't been together all that long, they're both old enough to be confident in spending time apart, exploring everything the ship has to offer, and then meeting up again later. John and Darla find it easy to make new friends on board the ship. However, after indulging in the many onboard activities, they find themselves simply enjoying time with others while doing some of the fun things they would normally do back at home.
When you lived on your own for a while, you kind of get set in your ways a bit. It can be difficult to let a new person into your life and adjust to being with them all the time. So even though this is new love, there's still going to be a little drama while they work things out.
Cruise ships are a microcosm for the real world. There are 24/7 activities, and there's just so much to do. For some people, it's wonderful, but for some, it's overstimulation, and really, once the ship leaves, you're stuck there until you reach port. Even though it's supposed to be a relaxing, luxurious experience, some people can get cabin fever really quickly. It's like needing a vacation from your vacation.
And while it's hard to say just how much fun each of the couple were individually having on the ship, what better way for a new couple to enjoy each other's company and grow their life together than a cruise in the beautiful, warm Caribbean? Beyond all the beauty and entertainment surrounding them, could it be possible that one of them was starting to feel homesick and perhaps even overwhelmed by the constant stimulation? Because what should be a relaxing tropical vacation for two people just starting their next chapter turns dark and tragic by morning. For the Banners, soaking in the tropical ambience aboard a luxury cruise ship has now turned into a brutal and deadly event. Darla and John Banner are a newlywed couple getting ready to celebrate the Easter holiday on a 14-day Caribbean cruise. The happy couple have been enjoying their time soaking in the tropical ambience aboard a luxury cruise ship since leaving Tampa, Florida 3 days earlier. Meeting new people, enjoying the warm Caribbean sun, and dancing the night away. But the warm glow of the Caribbean sun soon turns cold. What happened to the happy couple? What could have led to the brutal end of their beautiful getaway? At approximately 11:30 a.m. on April 2nd, 2015, a crew member approaches the Banner suite to do their daily maid service. Thinking John and Darla have left for the day, they let themselves in. As the crew member is about to refresh the room, she sees something out of the corner of her eye. All of a sudden, she sees the startling image of a woman's body on the bed, covered in blood. The grisly scene is horrifying. Darla Banner lies motionless on the bed. The shocked crew member turns to run out of the room when something else catches her eye in the bathroom.
It's an unfortunate circumstance, but on cruise ships, service staff often are the ones who discover crime scenes or dead bodies. It's not something that's talked about often, but it's the reality of their job because they're often accessing private areas of the ship that most people wouldn't see. It must have been a total shock to find these two people in this way.
The crew members quickly close the door to the room and call the ship's captain. Moments later, the captain arrives in response to the cleaning crew's distress calls. Upon entering the blood-stained room, the captain does his best to remain calm. With one look, he knows that Darla is most likely dead. The captain's attention is drawn to the bathroom, where John Banner's lifeless body hangs, an apparent victim of suicide.
Usually in the event of a serious crime on board a cruise ship, their first course of events would be to notify the nearest authorities to have them available to come and investigate. The ship's crew would then be tasked with securing the crime scene to prevent the loss of any evidence, but also to prevent any sort of panic amongst the other guests.
The captain orders the crew to seal off the room to protect evidence and the victim's privacy.
Rumors can pass very quickly on a cruise ship. Even the biggest ships are like small towns. So it's very, very important that the crew shuts down the information chain as quickly as they can and make sure that there isn't panic on the ship. If people started getting afraid, that would be very, very hard for them to manage.
The captain calls local authorities on land. The ship is already scheduled to dock later that day in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So police and FBI will be waiting to meet them as soon as they dock in a few hours. The captain makes a small announcement over the loudspeaker and informs guests that an event has occurred with 2 passengers. The captain then lets the passengers know that authorities will be boarding the ship when they dock in San Juan, but he assures them everything is fine and not to worry.
Timeline is essential to find out when was this person last seen. As investigators, we could do a call out to ask if people were in this area from this time to this time. What was their interaction witnessed to be like? What were they doing with each other and with others on the cruise ship?
The warm Caribbean sun is a striking contradiction to the dark events that occurred in the Banner suite. What happened to Darla and John? What could have led to such a tragic ending in such a beautiful paradise? Recently married, Darla and John Banner are on a Caribbean cruise celebrating the Easter holiday. The couple have been making the most of their short time so far and are enjoying relaxing together in an idyllic and scenic paradise. Romance and adventure under the stars is a newlywed's dream. But that dream soon turns into a very real nightmare when Darla Millinger Banner is found brutally murdered. And her husband, John Banner, is found hanging in the bathroom, dead from an apparent suicide. What happened to this couple, and how could it have ended like this?
There's no doubt that this was a tragic crime. But it was convenient that it happened fairly close to the next port of call because authorities would have been able to quickly attend the ship, and that would have prevented the destruction of any evidence.
When the ship docks in San Juan, Puerto Rico on April 2nd, 2015, investigators are quickly ushered to the Banner's suite. The scene is grim. Darla Banner has been stabbed numerous times. Investigators soon determine that the weapon is a large piece of broken glass. More broken glass is found around the suite, and it's obvious that this was no accident.
When you're cut by a piece of glass, a laceration to that magnitude that would cause you to have loss of life would be significant. It would be deep, and it would certainly go through an arterial bleed. There could be a lot of blood splatter, and there could be a lot of pooling of blood within the area where the body is lying.
Darla's husband, John Banner, is also dead, and the scene points to suicide by hanging with the bathroom shower curtain.
An individual could certainly use a shower curtain as a ligature mark. When they put pressure to both sides of their carotid arteries, they will lose consciousness and eventually cut off all of the oxygen supply to their brain.
When something as horrific as this happens, the question is always, why? Unfortunately, satisfactory answers are usually hard to find. However, murder-suicides aren't as uncommon as you may think.
There's really no way to justify a crime like this. It's widely understood that females who are a victim of homicide are killed by an intimate partner, whether past or present, at least 1 out of 3 times.
Investigators examine the scene, looking for anything that can tell them what led to this horrible crime.
An initial examination of this particular crime scene would generally indicate that it was a murder-suicide. It had all the hallmarks of a crime of passion, the way Darla was murdered.
Photography of a scene is essential. We have to be extremely careful to not move anything prior to taking our pictures. Good photography of a scene is evidence for you to fall back on if you feel that you have further questions to what was present at the scene.
There doesn't seem to be an indication of premeditation in Darla's murder. And then with John's apparent suicide, it would appear that there was panic or guilt associated with him taking his own life that way.
They take a number of personal items from the couple to help identify why this happened.
All the personal items from the deceased individuals would be obtained, and they would not be released until after the autopsy. That gives the opportunity for the investigators to look through personal items such as cell phones, text messages, itinerary, and that gives a detailed version of what was going on even between the 2 individuals.
Once the scene in the bathroom has been thoroughly documented by investigators, John's body is taken down. The violent deaths of both victims lead investigators to believe it was a crime of passion. But now they have the difficult task of trying to figure out how and why such a tragic event occurred. While everything on board the cruise ship seemed to be going so well, what could have happened between John and Darla to cause everything to go so horribly wrong?
When a crime like this occurs, it's really important to look at the background of the couple. That's where the police will start. Murders like this don't usually just happen out of the blue. There's usually some pattern of behavior in the couple's past that will give clues as to why this happened. Chances are, if someone's capable of killing their partner, there's probably some history in their past of them doing things to other partners as well.
With the ship docked in the port of San Juan, Puerto Rico, the bodies of John and Darla are taken by car to the local coroner's office. Police then attempt to piece together a clearer picture of who Darla and John were, and what could have happened between them in the days and hours before to produce such a shocking and violent end. Darla and John Banner are recent retirees and newlyweds enjoying this new chapter of life together. The couple are enjoying their second cruise in just 6 months. Darla and John have been taking full advantage of the beautiful weather and impressive amenities, socializing and enjoying the company of other passengers as they travel towards Puerto Rico. But when the couple are found dead in their room, police are baffled as to what transpired to lead to such a ghastly end. Local authorities in Puerto Rico call police in Salem, Ohio, where Darla and John are from. They notify them of the deaths and see if the couple is known to police. Detective Dave Talbert not only knows the couple, but tells of a bizarre incident involving the Banners from 5 months earlier. Detective Talbert tells investigators that he had been called by local hospital staff because Darla had been brought in with a non-life-threatening stab wound to her chest. He goes on to inform the investigators how Darla told him the couple had just returned home from their honeymoon. John leaves to put some things away in another room. While John is unpacking items in the closet, he finds an old military dagger he has collected from years earlier. He wants to show Darla, so he goes back to their bedroom to show her the antique. As John returns to the room, he trips on an area rug and falls into Darla, accidentally stabbing her. She's hurt and bleeding badly. The newlyweds are in shock, unprepared for this sudden turn of events. The officer in Puerto Rico takes note of the story. Detective Talbert continues, explaining how he became involved. Beside himself with worry, John quickly rushes Darla to the hospital. Thankfully, the injury is only minor. But hospital staff call police as the story was so unusual. Detective Talbert explains to investigators that Darla repeatedly states in her interview what a great guy John is. And even though he's just met him, Detective Talbert notes that John doesn't come off as an abusive husband, but rather a loving partner, stricken with guilt and worry over a terrible accident. And though their story is so bizarre, John and Darla's stories match. The couple permit police to investigate the scene at their home. And investigators find it to also match their peculiar story. Investigators also speak with the couple's neighbor, Georgia Garton. She finds the incident very odd, but tells police that the couple are nice people and that Darla mostly keeps to herself. With everything the couple tells Detective Talbert, along with the evidence in their home matching the story, Salem police rule the incident a freak accident.
It happens. An event that you think is a crime turns out not to be. Sometimes the obvious answer is, in fact, the answer. Only John and Darla will know for sure if the knife incident was an accident or not. We'll never really know for sure.
Armed with new information, investigators now try to figure out just who John Banner was.
People who end up in abusive relationships often feel a sense of guilt or shame. Even though it isn't their fault at all, they still blame themselves for staying in the relationship. So it's to their benefit to create these stories to protect not only their partner, but also themselves from that shame, those questions, why did you stay? Why didn't you leave? When you start a new relationship and you have tons of hope that this is a new start, a new beginning, you're all excited about it, and then it starts to turn sour, we really, really don't want to believe that. We really want to cling to the idea that, no, this person's a great guy. It must have just been a mistake. It must have been just this one time. But those are lies we tell ourselves, and the more lies we tell, the more messier things are going to get.
Only John and Darla know for sure what happened the day of the freak accident at their home in Salem, Ohio. Darla never files charges against John, and in fact defends him to the police. But could it be a sign that there was a darker side to John? Are they really a happy, newlywed couple on vacation? Or has there been trouble in their relationship right from the start? Newlyweds Darla and John Banner have just left on a 2-week Caribbean cruise to celebrate the Easter holiday. But the tropical celebration doesn't last long when the couple are found dead in their room 3 days after leaving Tampa, Florida. Authorities are tasked with trying to figure out what happened and why. Investigators learn of a bizarre incident 5 months earlier at the couple's home in Salem, Ohio. Darla is accidentally stabbed when John trips and falls into her while holding an antique military dagger. The event is deemed a freak accident, but after finding Darla's savagely stabbed body, police are now trying to understand who John was and how or why he could do this to his wife.
Murder-suicides generally stem from highly emotional circumstances. The knife incident in Ohio could have been an accident, or it could have been made up to protect somebody.
Investigators check surveillance video from various parts of the ship to see if they have anything on the couple's movements. And they interview crew members and passengers to try to piece together the events leading up to the murder. A few stories begin to emerge. One rumor is that crew members hear the couple fighting at various times the night before. What would have caused John and Darla to argue? Could it have been a seemingly innocent encounter in the ship's restaurant when a male passenger brushes up beside Darla at their table?
Incidents of extreme violence in intimate partner relationships are often motivated by things like jealousy and infidelity. These are highly stressful situations. We don't know what the situation is here for John, but if somebody like him is on the edge, anything could happen.
An anonymous source discloses to investigators that they heard an argument from John and Darla's room. And that John found a text message from another passenger on her phone. If this is true, could it be the tipping point for John? Is this what sent him over the edge? Did jealousy drive John to commit such an irrevocable act? Police have little evidence to prove motive, but there appears to be a wealth of circumstantial evidence. The first being that Darla was receiving text messages from another man on the ship. Is it possible that long-simmering conflict between the couple had been building throughout the trip? Is it possible that the entire excursion was far from idyllic? The details of this may never be known for sure. For those investigating, this must be a complicated mystery, owing to the relative lack of information regarding the couple's personal life. The case is ruled a murder-suicide by local authorities. What's the reason for the argument that fellow passengers overhear coming from John and Darla's cabin? Do they try to patch things up? Or do John's jealousies get the better of him? Whatever the case, things must have turned dark. Is it possible that an incoming text message then set off an explosive chain of events? Could this be the spark that ignites John's violent rage? And so, authorities are left with limited information. They believe John Banner stabs his wife Darla with a broken piece of glass and then hangs himself once he realizes what he's done. The violence, as evidenced by the gory, blood-stained room, leaves little doubt as to what John was capable of.
People are always shocked when crimes like this occur, and rightly so. But we have to remember that things aren't as rosy as they seem. Even though they may seem like they had everything to live for, that they were the happiest couple on earth, their social media profiles are all shiny all the time, it still doesn't mean that things are as good as they seemed. We have no idea what their reality was like behind closed doors. We see what people want us to see.
News of the tragic crime soon makes its way to the other passengers, as well as the couple's neighbor, Georgia Garton, back home in Salem, Ohio. The heartbreaking tragedy of it all is almost too much to bear.
These are always tragic cases. Domestic homicide is sadly far too common, and the perpetrators are often everyday people who no one would suspect until it's too late.
Darla Millinger Banner leaves behind her mother and her son from her first marriage. In 2016, Darla's estate sues Johns for intentionally stabbing and physically abusing her. The lawsuit claims that Darla could have made at least $480,000 during the remaining 28 years of her life expectancy. "28 years that Darla never got."